Hello, 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 and welcome to the show. We are launching this on Thursday now because, as my little sister had told me, people have lives on Friday night and they go on dates and do other social things, and not everyone trains. So that's why I'm gonna start launching these probably on Thursdays now. Seems like a pretty good day. If another day you guys think works better, please drop that in the comments. I could use as much feedback as possible. Anyway, today what we're covering though is how to use a punch in Taekwondo sparring. It's not the same as from Pumse. You don't need to start from a front stance or a horse stance to do it. And we're going to be looking at some of the best international fighters there are from a various number of weight divisions and how they punch and how you can apply that to your game too, or different situations and when and where you can use those use that weapon. Mainly, there are three types. One is the straight slide-in punch. As you're going to see, if you're just faster than your opponent, you can close the distance fast and get your fist on their hogu with good form. That's one of the ways. A second way is to obtain front leg control using your arm. We're going to watch a couple of matches where that's demonstrated. You negate their front leg with your hands or by closing the distance, and you're able to land your punch squarely that way. The third way is to use your leg and jam up their front leg and land your punch right after that happens, as we're going to watch in Korea versus Iran later. The last one's not, I would say, 3.5 ways, because one of them's a kind of a good tool to use, but you don't really plan for that kind of a scenario. It's just a good idea to throw on there. So we're going to tack that one up on the end. Anyway, so diving into our first match, we have Thailand versus Korea. Taehoon Kim is been world champion X number of times. Thailand's always been a powerhouse in the game. So first one covering is this is one of the examples of a slide-in punch. Uh, you're not really too worried about displacing the front leg or anything. It's straight, just fast footwork in, right after the exchange, fast footwork in, and punch executed right away. You don't wait for the front leg to come up. You don't wait for a go signal. You don't wait for the reset. Really, you blitz straight in, and you lunge over, and you get that punch onto the hogu as soon as possible. Also, a side small thing too. Punches are extremely subjective, so this celebration here isn't really a sign of cockiness by Thailand. This is just him trying to ensure that he gets a point. Um, there was another punch earlier that he did this, but the camera actually did not catch that, so I can't throw it in there for you guys. So that's the first type of punch. We're going to watch another example kind of in the heavyweight division over here. Uh, Lorin versus Kyung Don. And it was interesting fighting when I fought against Korea here because this guy is usually super strong defensively, tries to get all of his points on the inside. When he fought against me, he didn't really punch that much because he relied mostly on his inside game, and rightfully so because this guy is a giant. So I have it here at the first punch. I believe this is Russia sliding in. Exactly. Russia sliding straight in. Not as explosive, obviously, as the Finner flyweights, but comes in close enough to make sure his fist can wrist at the proper distance, or his fist can reach a hogu at the proper distance. Doesn't bother waiting for the front leg of Korea. Korea's caught by surprise. Doesn't even react actually. He's kind of just reset right off the reset. Boom, inner distance and punch executed. That one for me, giving the point there was a little bit questionable. Sorry, some trade alerts. Was a little bit questionable, but I mean, hey, a point's a point. So that's one way to do it, sliding straight in. I think Kyung Yi Dun does it back to him at 7:52 over here. He gets scored on right after. But same idea. Actually, no. This is the segue into the next one. So if you guys want to watch this one again, I have it at 6:54 right here for you guys. All the slide in punch you need to do for the slide in punch is you need to slide into the distance, boom, where your fist can reach them off the line. Because here, obviously, if he extends his fist, it's not going to reach. All you need to do is slide in just enough to get your fist on their hogu. And that's what Russia does. Russia gets the point. What Korea does here in his segment, even though he gets scored on right after, is starting to segue into the next kind of punch, securing that front leg control. We're going to watch this in slow-mo so you guys can see this. Half speed. Watch his front arm. When he slides in, the front arm is going to control the front leg. Boom. He ensures the leg never gets above hip level, not strong enough for the other guy to lift up against the arm on him, It's he keeps it down there and punches right on top. One more time, just for good measure. Boom, handles the front leg. Right here he gets scored on because he didn't cover properly. But the punch was still executed well. Fist on top, using that front hand to negate the front leg and then punching on top. Um, there's that situation. I was supposed to keep these open so I can give you guys the original links. But what I really like to see is the way China does it here against Azerbaijan. I've fought against this China player in the 2014 Asian Games. He did beat me. I was fighting on sprain ankles. Anyway, that's a whole segue for something else. But something here also, what I'd like to note before you just go straight into punching, China knows kind of at the start of this round already that he's going to be punching. This is quarterfinals. They've had to win some fights to get here. Both of these guys are super experienced already, so there's lots of tape on each other. Predominantly right leg front fighter for Azerbaijan. China knows this, has been scouting it. Good. First couple cuts, he's been going back, right? It's very important to note. First couple cuts, he's been going back. Azerbaijan now expecting him to go back when he cuts. Boom, intercept. Yes, so the first time, China already knows the game plan coming in is to punch him. But he can't do that every time because if you do that every time, you're going to get kicked in the face with a short range head kick. So what China does in the initial part here, backs around, moves around it. If he doesn't like what he sees or is not ready for it, no biggie, backs out. That's one of the few times I say to give space. If he's not showing what you're looking for, give him some space, reassess, and reset for the next move. Right here, front leg foot control, punch on top. One more time. I have a bunch of examples. This guy punches Azerbaijan so many times. Front leg control, punch on top. And if you guys didn't see it, here's the third time.
Trying to find his form here in the last event of the season.
Slow-mo, slow-mo. Front leg control, boom. Hand on the leg, punch right on top. All right. There's a lot of instances. He gets punched so many times in this match. It was actually really fun to watch. It's the next one.
Absolutely, no question about it as he tries a little back kick
Almost.
the corner.
Same thing. Slides straight in. Make sure he keeps his hand, or I'm going to stand up a little bit so you can see. When he slides in, he has his hand here on the flank, so nothing can score on this side. He has it here on the flank. Once that front leg is controlled, boom, punch on top.
Kind of pick up from where he started, and here he is again at the semifinals.
Here.
Absolutely, no question about it as he tries a little back kick round the corner.
Boom. Protects that flank. Front leg control with the front hand. Punch on top. Next one's he gets punched so many times in this one. Second round, Azerbaijan picks up on it. His coach actually tells him to switch stance to close stance, so it's not a southpaw versus, the normal fighting stance. It's back to opposite. But because Azerbaijan's main weapon has been his front right leg the whole time, I mean that's habit already. And whenever he switches to do that,
at this point,
Absolutely.
whenever that switches to happen, China takes the opportunity, slides in, handles that front leg like a boss, punches right on top.
At this point.
Right here, super slow again. Or not really, let's go a little bit faster because we have a lot of examples.
Absolutely.
Boom, slides. You guys can already see he's expecting that front leg to come up. Slow that even. Just like Korea did when he slid in. He's expecting that front leg. He has his hand there to catch it. He has his hand in front of him, down almost below his hip right here to catch it.
A few days ago, yes.
Oh, not this one. I think. This is, got caught by surprise a little bit.
At this point.
Super loud. Good, right there. Slides in for it. Oh, that's 15. Oh. Slides in with his front hand. Watch the front hand. Boom. Ready to catch that leg and have it collapse back in on his body in case he doesn't. So block that scoring opportunity. Punches on top. Yeah. Now it is, I mean, that one's a little bit questionable. Didn't really hit the Hogu. But, hey, landing a punch is landing a punch. 821. More examples, same thing. This whole match has kind of been catching that front leg. Handling that front leg. That's another option too. It doesn't always have to be down. One of the things, if you're in open stance, they overshoot this. Watch. Very subtle. They overshoot.
Again, just
Page.
around.
Good, right there. So Azerbaijan, I'm not that wasn't really good defense by Azerbaijan because he got spun right there. But right here,
Again, just the environment around.
good. The principle's the same. He did tag him a little bit. The principle's the same though. The front leg is nullified by the hand. So it wasn't on top this time. This time he let him overshoot it. He pulled it to the side just a tad bit, enough for him to miss.
Again, just the environment around.
Boom. Ideally, you don't want to hit the hoagie. You scoop it out of the way and then you punch on top. And then the next example, I think there's only one more. 12:45. Do, 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 do. Boom. So this whole round, second and third round, Azerbaijan switch legs.
Definitely going
China's
for it.
one of
He's
China's
looking
main
for
weapons is
that
a punch.
win over Milad.
Boom. Azerbaijan's still fighting him close stance because he knows. Out of habit, I think Azerbaijan opens up here.
Win over Milad.
Boom. Switches legs. Doesn't think he's waiting. China handles that front leg again with his hand. Front leg handles the front leg. Front hand handles the front leg. Punch on top. Good, just like that. So, just a recap so far. One, you can either slide in a punch if you can close the distance before they can even react, like we did, like Thailand did, like Korea did, and like Russia did. Second, if you want to fight it a little bit more at range, use your hand to nullify their front leg going on top. China did a great job. He runs out of gas at the end of this round, and then in the fourth and in the fifth round. So Azerbaijan ends up winning on stamina. But I mean, hey, 5 rounds is hard to do. The next one we're going to see here is the third variation where you're not using your hand to nullify the front leg. You have to use your own leg to nullify their front leg. And then you land with your momentum on top of their leg to hit the punch. Iran hits this against Daehun multiple times. This Iranian's super young. He almost beat Daehun in Asian Games. That was a close fight. I've never seen so many matrix moves by Daehun in my life. Real time. That was crazy. Okay, so first one here, you're gonna see Iran use his front leg to nullify Korea's front leg. Use that momentum while being on top of the leg to punch.
Success, lost out to Ahmed Abagosh.
Boom. So David's been poking him this whole time. Here,
Yes,
boom,
lost out to
small
Ahmed
defense.
Abagosh.
His leg is on top of Daehun's leg. He knows that leg can't flip up anymore.
Lost out to Ahmed Abagosh.
Right there, his leg's on top of Daehun's leg. He knows Daehun can't flick it up anymore. Make sure Daehun's in range and lands that punch.
A good punch there.
He does this multiple times. 531, 558 is the other one. So this whole match, I mean, like I could show you guys the whole match, but that's not really good use of your time. There's tons of stuff you can draw from this. I'm just drawing the punches right now. Daehun's been poking with his front leg the whole time to keep Iran off balance. The Iranian, smart, changing up directions with his own front leg and mixing up those punches. Same thing. It's not exactly as clean as the last one where his leg was on top.
Pace could probably lose.
No probability.
Oh. He slides in. He kind of uses his front leg, almost like Temujin. I'm not saying Temujin was the originator, but he's just the first person I covered, I think, doing this. He slides in, uses his front leg to try and nullify. He uses his front leg to try and nullify Dane's front leg. Now that Dane's fired the shot, no threat to the head anymore. Iran's in and on the punch. Ideally, the judges want to see more extension on that, so Iran fired it a little bit late, not full extension, unable to get the point. At 6:12 is the next time he's grilling Daehun with these punches. And as a pause really quick, some of you guys may be looking at the score. Don't worry too much about the score because the punching in the game right now is subjective. And so some of your refs may give it, sometimes your refs may not. But it's a good idea to have, number one, have the punch in your repertoire. And number two, off of the punch, you can follow up with a bunch of other stuff. And it gives you kind of the advantage because they have to deal with the shock absorption of that punch. So it's just a good weapon to have. Don't mind the score too much right now. I mean, Daehun's a monster. And I mean, landing a punch like this multiple times is really good. So the next one's coming up here.
Invite the Iranian in.
Good. So this time you can see in this instance, Daehoon did not actually fire his leg, but Iran threw his leg up just in case. Excuse me, my voice is cracked. Just in case Daehoon does throw. Lift, boom. One more time, because these guys are super fast. 6-12.
That's more
Scoots
than
back.
happy to invite the Iranian in.
Good. Daehoon, when he's poking, is unsure what kind of defense Iran's going to throw because he's been throwing, he's been clashing, he's been canceling and clashing sometimes. Sometimes he's been kicking underneath. Sometimes he's been going offense. Iran and everyone else we've been watching have been doing their defense. It's not just straight punch defense every time. They mix it up with moving back. They mix it up with canceling. It's a variation in your defense that you can have against your front leg, or if you're going to use it for your attack, it's a variation. It's a variation you can use against the front leg too. So once again, prepared just in case, just in case Daehoon's kicking at him. He has that front leg up as a shield. Front leg up as a shield. Daehoon doesn't even fire. Well, great. Thanks for the space, buddy. Hits the punch. Awesome. Last one before Iran goes down injured here because I think he like tore an ACL during the match, which is just horrendous.
We're fast
Last one here.
approaching the end of the first round here.
Same thing. You guys can see here. Boom. Play this in slow-mo.
The end of the first round here.
You are really loud, Mr. Announcer. You can see here already, Iran has that front leg covered with his front leg. Clash, and boom, right on top.
Approaching the end of the first round here.
Right here. Boom, clash that front leg. His leg is on top. He knows Daehoon can't kick under that anymore. Boom, punch on top. Something also to note is look at the intensity with the kiyap and the yell that Iran has after the punch. Remember, guys, the punch is subjective to the judges. So you need to sell it. You need to act like that is the point. And the more you do that, the more convinced the judges will be that that you scored. Something also to note that I like specifically with Iran, and some of the other guys did it. Not as much though here. See if I can pause it. Good. You can see as soon as the leg clash happens, Iran has his hand. It's not like super high, but you can tell Iran's pulling back for the punch because you need to sell to the judges who may be in this corner down here or on this side of the ring over here. They may not be able to see you executing the punch, but they can sure tell that your arm is cocked back and ready to hit this guy in the chest. So part of punching is selling. You got to sell the point. You got to show them a little bit and land it with some power. And afterwards, the celebration for the punch also sometimes swings the judges. Because remember the timing window for one judge to press and the other judges I think is a second and a half. So sometimes they're like, was that a punch? You yell real loud like you did punch or like you did score the punch, and it's like, maybe I'll give it to somebody. The judge hits the score. And so that's something to keep in mind, guys, is you got to sell the punch too when you're landing that. You can't just boom and hit it quietly and like unconfidently kind of be like, oh, maybe I scored that, maybe I didn't. You got to be confident that you scored it, so that way the judges are confident in giving you the point. The last little one here is kind of just a good idea. Daehoon's Daehoon is taking it to his counterpart over here. Something also, this is if you find yourself in the awkward distance, I just want to show this one. This is a really weird distance to be in. Like, you land here. Like, boom. Good. It's not really like your reset is correct. It's not really like you're too close you're too close to be safe, but you're too far to clinch, and no one's really fired a weapon. And so something that I like right here from the red player is when he lands, he recognizes like, oh, this is kind of awkward, and he throws a punch in there just in case, and it actually scores. I mean, Daehoon takes this opportunity to get out of the corner because red doesn't hold him in there, but you guys can see that it's an option to do also when you're in awkward distance. And so those are all the punches I wanted to cover, the 3 variations that I know very well. If you guys know other variations, please add those below. To recap, guys, so there's like 3.5 variations of the punch. There's the slide-in punch where you just go straight in. I could show you guys the replays, but you guys can watch the tape again. You slide straight in and punch right when you're at full extension distance. If you can slide in and get to their Hogu right away, then you hit them right there. The second variation was we're watching with China over here. You handle the front leg with your front hand, like handle that front leg either down or you pull to the side and then you punch on top, or you block to the side or block it one way and you handle it with your front hands. The third one we saw was with Iran. You mix it up with you negate their front leg with your own front leg. Use that momentum, make sure your leg's on top and that front leg cannot flick to your face anymore, and then punch on top of that. And the third and a half one is at an awkward distance. Land that punch. If you're hesitant, feel free to punch. It gives you, it's always nice to have a small opportunity to score. Main things to focus on when you are punching. One is I'm gonna use Iran as an example because it was really good here. 7:38. When you do it,
We're fast approaching the end of the first round here.
boom, have that pullback as if you can't have that pullback so you can show the judges who may not be. I mean, ideally the judge right here sees it. Judge right here sees it. You don't have to pull back as far, but sometimes you don't really control that where the fight happens, where the judges are, et cetera, et cetera. So sometimes the judges back here can't see it. The judge back here can't see it, and so you gotta sell that point. You gotta show it. It doesn't have to be like way over your head. I mean, but you pull it back just like Iran did right here. The judges back here are going to see his elbows pulled back. That looks like it's going to be a punch. That gives them a little bit more reaction time to hit the trigger for you. Boom. Hit the punch. After the punch hits with some power and is extended, you got to sell the point.
Good punch again, cuts it to 2 for sure.
Sell the point after because you got to show the judges that you're confident so they're confident in giving you that point. Anyway, guys, hopefully that was helpful to you. I hope some of you guys had some really good takeaways from that, and I hope I was able to help you guys out. Please like and subscribe if you like these videos. Until then, I'll see you guys next week. I'm headed out to US Open. Maybe see some of you guys there. Might record some matches of my own. See you guys.